Palestinian cause is one of exterminating.
It's hard to breathe, but that's all right.
So, the left have been telling us the same story about Palestine for decades. But what Melanie Phillips revealed in this video were facts so accurate, so true, yet so ignored. The way she articulately tore the left's narrative to bits absolutely left me lost for words. Guys, let's get straight into it and we'll talk about it later.
I think there's a problem in the West about how people in the West see the Palestinians in general. I'm not actually persuaded that the vast majority make a distinction between Hamas and the Palestinians. I think that they think that Hamas is just the more extreme version of a perfectly reasonable point of view, a reasonable resistance movement. That they don't approve of murder and torture and kidnap, of course. If you're British, you don't approve of that.
Absolutely.
But nevertheless, the cause they're fighting for is a perfectly just one.
Hamas is like the IRA, let's say?
Yes, it's rather similar. Some people think that. Some people in Britain do understand that the Hamas have done what they've done and they stand for what they stand for. But the real problem in the West and in Britain in particular is, as you suggest, support for the Palestinians in general and the refusal to believe that they are that they represent a cause that is a bad cause. People in the West, in Britain, believe, insofar as they think about Israel at all, and a very large number don't think about Israel at all, but insofar as they think about it and they kind of take a side, the elites, they will take the Palestinian side because they believe in the lie that's been told for the last half century that the indigenous people of the land of Israel were the Palestinian Muslims. Along came the Jews after the Holocaust. Because of sympathy for their plight, the Western world plonked them down in Palestine, where they drove out the indigenous population, and those Muslims who were left, those Palestinians who were left, they have oppressed ever since.
That is exactly what I was told before I researched it. These things she was saying were things that I heard. Okay, and then I thought to myself, okay, before I push it, I went for a pro-Palestine protests. That was in 2023. And I thought, okay, well, maybe they're right, I don't know. So I went for this protest and I thought, okay, before I say anything about this, I better research it. I was researching into it and I was like, hang on a minute. Okay, I think I'm getting this wrong. So I researched more. I was like, hold on. Then I decided to go far back into history. Further back. And when I saw the things I saw, I just said to myself, you know what? Shady, you better stick with the facts. Okay, not sentiment. Stick to the facts. And I urge you to do the same. Just be fact finders.
That's basically what people believe. And they believe that because they don't know history of Israel, they know none of the history of the Jewish people, none of the history of the Middle East. And because they're told this all the time by their mainly left-wing university teachers and so on, they have no idea that the Jews are the only people for whom the land of Israel was ever their national kingdom, centuries before Islam was even created. They have absolutely no idea at all. So there's ignorance and ideology because they think that the Palestinians are like other developing world peoples, poor and oppressed because they've got brown skins. They think Israel is a white-skinned population and is therefore, it must be white because it's Western and it's an adjunct of America. If you tell them that the majority of Israelis are brown or black-skinned,
like me, well, I'm not black skin, but
they can't process this. So there's all of that.
Oh my days! She got this spot on. I, for one, at first, I couldn't process it that there were black-skinned Israelis. I couldn't. Honestly, I couldn't. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, hand on chest or hand on heart. I mean, I couldn't. I researched it, I checked it, and I met them. So, okay, not physically met them, but I've spoken with a lot of them online, and I was just like stunned. Like, you actually are Israeli, and you're blacker than me. Interesting. It's amazing what fact finding would reveal to you.
But I think that, Israel itself has a lot to answer for in this misapprehension. The Jewish communities of the diaspora have a lot to answer for, because nobody has actually told the truth about this. In the Jewish communities of the diaspora, particularly in Britain, which is what I know about, I would say the majority believe in a two-state solution. Why do they believe that? Because they believe basically that this is a fight over land, because this is how it's been projected for a century.
Yeah, that's
that you have a piece of land, you have two peoples, the Jews, the Palestinians, each of which has a claim to the land.
Yes.
We in the West can't arbitrate over that claim, but clearly if you have a piece of land being fought over by two contesting parties, what you do is you negotiate, you bang heads together, you make them separate the land, but you make them divide the land between them. End of problem.
Thank you.
That's a two-state solution. One lot has that, the other lot has that. Very
Bang on.
neat. The problem is that the problem to which this is the solution is not identified correctly. It is not a problem over land. It is not a problem over the division of land. If it was a problem over the division of land, it would have been solved in the 1930s when the Palestinian Arabs were offered part of the Holy Land as a state of their own, and they refused and went to war instead to prevent the Jews from having a homeland in any part of that land. That has continued ever since.
Okay, please, if you're Palestinian, if you're pro-Palestinian, you're an activist, right now go in the comment section and tell me what she said is not true. Okay, because I've always been a supporter of a two-state solution, because logically in my brain, what is registered is they are fighting over the land. So split the land into two, and that makes sense. But when the Palestinians refused the land they were offered, is it 96% of the land or something, and Israel will have 4? They refused. It just didn't make sense to me. I was like, what do they really want? You know? And then she's elaborating here. So let me know, guys, the truth.
The Palestinian cause is one of exterminating the state of Israel and removing Israel as a Jewish homeland altogether. And not only is Palestinianism aimed at removing and destroying Israel and removing the Jewish homeland, it's also based on the big lie which rewrites the Jews out of their own history in the land. It pretends that the indigenous people of the land were the Muslims, the Palestinians, and that the Jews are interlopers, where in fact the reverse is true. The indigenous people of the land are the Jews, and the Palestinians do not exist as a people. They say it themselves. They've said it themselves over and over again. We invented it. We invented it in order to twist the minds of the West and in order to present ourselves as having a claim to the land. So this is a lie from start to finish, a big lie. Now, bad enough that the universities have been pumping this out for 4 or 5 decades, bad enough that they have been backed by a very sophisticated, hugely financed, very intelligently calibrated campaign by the Palestinian by Palestinian supporters, by Palestinian Arabs and their supporters in the world to fry the minds of the West.
Crazy.
Bad enough that's all happened, but it's happened in the way that it has no argument is permitted against this myth, this lie, because of the silence of the Jewish people themselves, the silence of Israel, the silence of the Jewish diaspora. They may inveigh against, as they do, the excesses of Palestinian rejectionism. They may say, at most, Israel will say, they don't want to state of their own, they want to destroy us. Absolutely correct. But what Israel doesn't say, and what the Jewish community doesn't say, is that this is not a fight over land. This is an Islamic-inspired holy war against the Jewish homeland on the basis that the Jews cannot be allowed to live in their own homeland and rule themselves.
It all boils down to religion. All boils down to religion. That is a point that I've been trying to avoid. I've been trying to just, skip around it, just dodge it and keep on looking for facts. But it's all pointing to the same, basic thing, religion.
It's the Jewish homeland on the basis that the Jews cannot be allowed to live in their own homeland and rule themselves. It's against Islam. And that's what it actually is. And Israel doesn't say it. And Israel doesn't say the Palestinians are not actually Palestinians, that Palestinianism is a thing that was invented in order to create a myth, but that actually, if you look at what the Palestinians so-called are saying, they're not talking about a two-state solution. They're not even talking about Israel. They're talking about eradicating Jews. Here are the videos. They're all on Memory, the wonderful website that translates all these videos. They're all there. Israel virtually never uses these things. It never says to the West, your two-state solution is the answer to a problem you have yourselves misidentified, and that you are the reason this is continuing. Your support for this false cause is the reason that it continues. Nobody says that from Israel, and nobody in the Jewish community says that in Britain. Nobody. Nobody says the whole thing is based on a lie. Palestinianism is rubbish. There is no such thing as the Palestinian people. This is a lie invented to destroy us in Israel as a physical country and to remove us as Jews from our own history. It is the worst and most savage kind of cultural appropriation conceivable. That's what's going on, and it's fried all your minds. They're not saying that. So how can anyone know this? And so when you ask, how can we solve this problem of the West saying, well, the Hamas are bad, but Palestinians are good? The way through that is to say individual Palestinians may be fine. Some of them undoubtedly just want a happy life. They are the victims of their own people. These are the ways in which they are the victims of their own people. But they've been told a lie. You're being told a lie. The lie is that the Palestinian cause is a just cause. It is an evil cause. This is why it's evil. And it is evil because it not only wants to destroy Israel, the only country in the world which is targeted for annihilation, it wants to remove the Jews from their own history. And it's evil, and you should be opposing this at source. You should, the West, not be funding these people. You should not be funding the Palestinian Authority. You should be treating them as political, diplomatic, and social pariahs.
Wow.
Pariahs.
Wow.
Instead, you're treating them as statesmen in waiting. You're treating Israel as the rogue element in this because it dares not to want to be annihilated. That's what Israel should be saying. It doesn't say any of this. It could be said, it should be said, and it's not a question of, how can you show people that there is no distinction between Hamas and other Palestinians. It's how do you show people that the Palestinian cause itself is based on a lie and is the source of intellectual and moral corruption in the West, which has knocked the West, in my view, completely off its moral compass. I think the importance of the Palestinian cause to the moral, intellectual, and cultural disintegration of the West, which is underway, cannot be overestimated, because it is the quintessential example of how you no longer, as a Western society, you are no longer able to distinguish between truth and lies, victim and victimizer, and as a result, you take the side of the aggressor over the victim, and you punish the victim by upholding the lies. And this has, I think, cut a swathe through Western society and Western culture far beyond the issue of Israel and the Middle East. I think it's acted as a kind of moral cancer. Palestinianism is a moral cancer in the West, which has corrupted its intellectual elites, fried the collective brain, and destroyed the West's ability to distinguish truth from lies, and the ability, therefore, to defend its own way of life.
This is crazy. This is insane. Listen to it again. I felt like I hadn't even listened to it at all before. Do you hear her bold claims? So, you know, like I said earlier, I fact find. I seek the truth. And the truth led me to some points. I mean, the fact finding led me to some points, you know, that I've been finding difficult to say. Because if I say it, it's going to be like you are putting yourself against a certain cause. And that is not my intention, to put myself against a people. But my intention is to stand on the side of the facts, the side of the truth. It's like somebody trying to call me a white man. I'm going to be like, are you mad? Is everything okay with you? Because I'm obviously not white. You know? That is the point it led me to. It led me to a point where I looked and I thought, what can I say? Even with all the facts I'm finding, people are angry about it. People are saying, Shae, you are paid. You are paid. Paid propaganda. They say IPAC. I only heard of IPAC recently. They said, what? They've been saying many things that I'm being funded to say the things that I say. And I'm like, bruv, I've been on the side of Palestine. Well, I won't say I've been on the side of Palestine, but I went on a Palestinian protest. Okay? I asked questions, I talked to people, then I researched. But like I said, it kept leading me to a point, and I was thinking, okay, what can I say? What can I do about this? Because I know historically Israel have been there. They've been taken out, all right? Invaded, they went back. Invaded, they went back. Invaded again, I think about three times they went back. Then the Romans came and changed the name of the land because they wanted to tear Israel out of the land. They changed the name to Syria Palestina, and that's where it came. And I know the Palestinians, well, Syria Palestina there, which they named after the Philistines, okay, and the Philistines were from somewhere in Europe, near, was it Crete, Greece, the agencies, they're known as sea peoples, and they are not Arabs. They were from Europe. They sailed to take Israel, but they couldn't, right? Anyway, the Romans changed the name to Syria Palestina. You know, many people, like many empires, you know, conquered the land, empire after empire after empire, but there was always Jewish presence, and the Arabs get moving into the place from neighboring countries, continue like that. The Jews, you know, were scattered abroad to different countries. Obviously they got mixed, became kind of European looking, with European colors, European skin, blue eyes, blonde hair, and things like that. The Holocaust happened. They were not safe anywhere in the world. The only place they could be safe is to find a place which is their own land. The British Mandate of Palestine decided to split the land and give the Jews and give the Palestinians, and that was the beginning of the main problem. After the Romans tore them out of the land, getting back the land has been a big problem, and they want a two-state solution. Okay, let the Palestinians be on one side, let them be on one side, but it looks like the Palestinians don't want it because the Palestinians rejected a two-state solution quite a few times. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comment section, guys. Okay, let me know. But to be honest, the way this war has raged on from 1948, that's the present one, from 1948 into October 22nd, into October 7th, up to now. It's not a normal thing. You must agree, it's not normal. There's something there, there's a machine, there's a system back there driving it. And this system is powerful. This system has almost, unlimited resources. And the way the world is being blinded, people don't seek truth and facts. And when people see truth and facts, people don't want to believe it. People always find a way to explain and, argue out of it. Let's just say the truth. That's it. What is hard in that? Okay? All this political correctness is taking us backward. Look at what's happening around the world. Me, as a Nigerian, I know what we went through in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, being a Christian, all right, with Islamists around. You can Google Nigeria and see what's happening right now as we speak. You can Google it and see. Nigeria is not a safe place. Why? Religious conflict. Why? Will you say Christians have been attacking people? Christians are not known to do that. You talk about the Crusades. The Crusades were as a result of Islam expansionism. Islam expanding. Yeah, as a result of that, right? So it was like an answer to a problem. Yeah, and I mean, they committed atrocities as well, but you usually don't hear Christians attacking. But I'm telling you, as a child, we were attacked not once, not twice, a few times. Yes, I know they're extremists, but still, we can't deny the facts on ground. And Melanie saying Israel-Palestine conflict is based on religion. It's a religious conflict that Islam wants to take over. And I've been hearing this rhetoric over and over again. They want to take over. I know my country, my state, they want to take over. I know that already since I was a child, with all those wars. They want to take over. They want in Sharia law, which, the citizens, we, the indigenous people of Nigeria, said, no, it's not going to happen. So it keeps fighting. We keep fighting. I'm like, come on, just live in peace with us. Just come into the land. It's fine. Prosper, we prosper, but leave our land for ourselves. And you go back to your land if you really want to rule a place. Go to you. Anyway, guys, I'm going to keep ranting, but the things she said here, crazy. All right, crazy. She just laid out facts that are so hard, facts that are so that I didn't want to say. I just decided to shut my mouth and research further, okay, because I don't want to be saying things that will be questionable. But she said I'm spot on, and kudos to her for speaking the truth as she saw it. And it's me, your boy Shady, one and only. I hope you guys learned something from this, okay? And what I hope you learned is be fact finders and not echo chambers. Thank you. Peace.
Oh, I love you more than words can say. You are me. Oh, you are the light that shine in my way. You are me. Oh, I love you more than words can say. You are me. Oh, you are the light that shine in my way.